Hello, and welcome to my franchise review for the Friday Trilogy. I'm coming back to making videos after about a month hiatus. I needed to take a mental health break, as I said in the last video, and it ended up being longer than I anticipated due to business travels and rearranging my studio/bedroom. I'm hoping for a more reasonable schedule, and I have plenty of ideas for the next month or so. I'm not going to be reciting the synopsis of these movies, similar to my last video, but there isn't much of one anyways for these films. Without further ado, let's get to the reviews. Friday, the first film from 1995, is available on Crave and Starz in Canada and on HBO Max and Tubi in the US. Despite some of the more problematic elements of this decades-old comedy, I found this to be a hilarious film. There are also many lines and memes that broke out into the mainstream from this film. The cast had fantastic chemistry, leading to those incredible comedic moments. While watching this film, I could see some similarities actually between Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart, although Chris Tucker is much less annoying, at least in this film, than Kevin Hart can be at times. Despite being a funny film, not all of the jokes hold up. This film also has misogynist views of women that would not hold up to today's standards, and this continues throughout the entire trilogy. It also has some ableism issues as well. When it comes to pacing, it's sometimes dragged despite its short runtime. Overall, this is a decent film comedy that works better if you can excuse some of the aged elements.
I rated this a 3.5 out of 5.
Next up is Next Friday. This is available on Starz in Canada and on HBO Max and Tubi in the US. Chris Tucker was sorely missed in this lackluster follow-up to Friday. I understand why he felt the need to leave the franchise and that character behind due to his newfound religious beliefs, and with that, I think they should have left well enough alone and not tried to continue this franchise without one of its main characters. Mike Epps replaces Chris Tucker as Craig's cousin Day Day, whose character is annoying, whiny, and nowhere near as funny as Smokey. Despite Day Day replacing Smokey in terms of the co-lead, Craig, played by Ice Cube, takes on the trait from Smokey of being a stoner, which he wasn't in the first film. Ice Cube is still pretty good in this role, and his father, played by John Witherspoon, is still decently funny, but sadly much of Mr. Jones's humor has veered into the juvenile, with many jokes revolving poop and digestive issues. For an R-rated movie geared toward adults, it just generally feels too lazy to enjoy. The original film was a classic film about some friends hanging out in the neighborhood, and this cannot live up to it with its paint-by-numbers feel as a 2000s comedy.
I rated this a 1.5 out of 5.
Finally, we go to the third film in the franchise, Friday After Next. This is available for rent or purchase in Canada and on Tubi in the US. This capper to the Friday trilogy is the worst of them all. I feel like they chose to set this at Christmas time so that they could get the Christmas movie bump, but I don't think they succeeded in the slightest. They also tried making callbacks to the original film, though none worked nearly as well as they did in Friday. Day Day hasn't improved and is actually slightly more prominent in this movie, so it takes its toll on you. There were only 2 moments in this entire 85-minute long movie that I laughed at. For the rest of the movie, I sighed and rolled my eyes throughout most of it. There was so much I hated about this movie, from its stereotype of men once they leave prison, and their use of ableist slurs, and continued misogyny. I recommend staying away from both Friday sequels and leaving the first film as the cult classic that it is.
I rated this a 1 out of 5.
Fun fact, there are plans for a 4th Friday film titled Last Friday that they're hoping to get Chris Tucker to come back with, but I find the likelihood of it ever getting made even is slim to none, considering how many decades-delayed sequels have tanked at the box office over the years. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button. There are a ton of things coming down the pipe, so stay tuned. If you have any recommendations or thoughts about these films, please leave a comment down below. I'm planning on doing a Rocky franchise review for next week because I haven't actually seen any of those films and want to see them before Creed 3 comes out on my birthday weekend, which I will also likely do a franchise review for if I can find the time to catch a screening, as well as my final Oscar predictions coming out around March 7th, depending on how long it takes to film and edit that video. Thanks again for watching.
Bye, Felicia.